Hey guys, welcome to God Family Community Podcast. I'm outside, so you may hear a little noise, um, and occasional music here and there. So today, for this episode, I wanted to come on and talk about the 50 Cent versus Ti. Um, Man, I wanted to wait and see how things were gonna unravel before speaking on this, and whew, this is pretty interesting. 50 Cent, as I've spoken on him in a previous podcast, I really liked him. Um, I respect what all he been through and what he had to overcome to get where he is. But unfortunately, I think the same thing that caused him to fight to get to where he is the same thing that has um, caused maybe some issues with him within himself. And to an extent, it's fine. We all have certain things that we go through and that we're working on. And but man, just listening to different people bring up facts and just seeing, I've been seeing how individuals have been laying out facts concerning all the women that he has gotten into it with. And I was like, wow, I didn't, mostly all of the black women. And I was like, wow, I didn't know. I didn't know about the Sierra one. And yeah, people just made a long list of them. Obviously, we know about Vivica Fox, who's a legend. The unfortunate thing is that they both 50 and her was in a relationship, and throughout the years, you've seen Vivica Fox speak on 50 Cent, and he's just pretty much just drug her through and slandered her through social media, and it's really been concerning because she's a legend, and it's that's kind of all we kind of see her as is not the only thing that we see her as, but within recent, that's all that we see of her is her talking about 50 Cent and just how he's just drug her through and disrespected her in the media. So that's something that I've never really cared and didn't like about 50 Cent was just how he drugged Vivica Fox through the media and just flat out disrespected her. Had no empathy, no disregard for her, especially her feelings towards him. And I just didn't like that. And Vivica's a legend, and she should be respected. Especially with all of the work that she's done. So you know, people have just been putting the facts out there with all the women he's had issues with. Obviously, the situation with the mother, his child, and her home being caught on fire, and just the situation with her and his sons, and just a long list of, of, of women that he's had issues with and disrespected, particularly black women. I am aware of the relationship or the situationship he had with. I think the lady's name is Chelsea Handler. I think she's a comedian. But she's a Caucasian woman, and I think him and Madonna had some words, but he's never seen him disrespect non-black women, and so this is something I've been noticing that people have just been putting in the forefront. His disrespect towards black women, but on the flip side of things, I still do kind of like 50 Cent. I think at the heart of it, I really do think he does have a good heart, but he probably just has to tackle whatever issues that are plaguing him. He appears to be a great business guy. Um, so yeah, I mean, I like him. I think that his music is really classic. That Get Rich or Die Trying, man, that was a phenomenal music project. And I knew every song to. I knew the entire album. I think I still know the words from each song back to back. But yeah. So 50 Cent, Ti, man, I've always had an admiration for Ti. I've always looked up to him. Um, and he's actually one of my favorite MCs. And I've always liked and respect how he carried himself, how he values, his family and his community. He does a lot in the community, um, especially with businesses. He's just a guy that just carries himself with morals and character. Obviously we heard some things out there concerning, his relationships with other women out, um, and so I won't get into that, but I will say for the most part, I really hold him to high regard. I love his music. I've always looked up to him, always um, liked him and admired him as a person, as an individual, as a stand up guy. Or the fact that, I don't know if anyone knows this, but, well, I think people forget about this. They know it, but they probably forget. If I'm not mistaken, when T.I. first came out, if I'm not mistaken, he recorded Tiny, his current wife. Um, he recorded his music project at her studio. She allowed him to record his music project at her studio. And I just think that he just did right by her. Oftentimes you see a lot of women, they support these guys, and financially support them. And then, when they get on their feet and they leave the women. And you see a lot of that taking place in our community. Men that don't necessarily have anything, and then when you have that woman that's been there supporting him, even giving him a place to stay, financially supporting him, he just leaves her in the dust. And so I'm actually doing a project on that, um concerning that. It's been in the works. um Thought of it back in like 2017, and it's something that I'm looking forward to working on. um I've already started the writing treatment on that, and so that should be coming in the near future. But yeah, so I've always respected and admired these two guys. I think in terms of the versus thing, Ti has picked a pretty interesting contender. I don't really know why. I just don't think they're really in the same category musically. So I don't know why T.I. picked 50 Cent to be a contender. I'm not sure if it has anything, but most likely it probably has something to do with him being from New York, and um, T.I. considers himself the king of the South, and then you have a lot of people from New York who moved to Atlanta, and there's always been this thing between Atlanta and New York, and so I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but I was just thought that T.I. picked the interesting contender for the verses. Now, in terms of the the current situation that these two men find themselves in, upon analyzing this situation, I always wondered. Um, I get why Ti is upset because he felt like he was mentioning that he was talking to well, him and 50 Cent were talking about doing a verses, and this was behind the scenes, and 50 Cent said, yeah, I'll do a verses with you, and then I guess out in public, Ti had to come out and say, well, I've been we were going to be doing we talked about it, but now we're not, I guess, doing the verses, something to that extent. And I was like, okay, well, to be fair, I was like, well, I was thinking about Ti, and I was like, well, he doesn't have, if he doesn't want to do it anymore, the verses, then there's no sense in keep nagging him about it. So in terms of being fair with this situation, that's what I was wondering. Like, why did Ti keep kind of hounding him about the verses? Um, and maybe there were some other things that took place in between them, but I think just as an outsider looking at the overall situation, And it's just my assumption. I was just always wondering why he just Ti just didn't leave it at that. Um, if he didn't want to do it, then hey, kind of got to move on. But now, some dissing is involved now. Ti obviously came out with his record, three diss tracks for that matter, and I mean, I think with the new track Ti did, Let Him Know, man, that just brought new life to the city. It's like a breath of fresh air. So I think he's just what we need now within hip hop, and I don't know, it's just a resurgence or something to that extent. It's like a resurgence of a breath of fresh air. When Kendrick and Drake were kind of going at it, it was like, okay, yeah, that's that's interesting. But I think with Ti, it's like maybe because I've always been a fan of him, but and I've always loved his music. It's like, yeah, he's coming back, and just to see his growth throughout the years, it's just been really admiring to see where he's at now in life, and so just to see him back is really admirable in doing music. But yeah, so that's what I wanted to provide commentary on. I just thought that it was interesting that Ti just didn't leave it at that. If 50 Cent didn't want to do the battle, then I didn't understand why he just didn't leave it at that. But hey, so now you have a diss track, three diss tracks that's come out towards 50 Cent, and I don't know, man. I think that it's gonna be interesting to see how this unfolds. It really is because his son King. Well, oh yeah, he posted that picture of Tiny, and I was gonna say I think with this situation that took place, he tried to take a dig with towards Tiny and Ti and the family, but man, it's probably elevated Tiny even more, because Tiny don't really get the credit that she deserves, nor Escape, man, they are just straight legends, and I think that this elevated Tiny more to remind people who she really is. And so sometimes things happen and what's meant for bad actually turns out to be a blessing in disguise. So um man, I it's just gonna be interesting to see how this unfolds, and I hopefully no one gets hurt. I know one of his sons, I'm not gonna say the name, but I don't know, I mean, I just been getting some signs and some things that might not end too well concerning one of his sons, and that's what I'm really concerned about. Because man, just but I'm not gonna say which one, but I just think that some things may not be looking too good for this one particular son, and so I do have a concern for him because I kind of see something forthcoming. Um, but it's gonna be interesting to see how this unfolds. I do think that it's I'm wondering if someone's going to come out like imminent in terms of 50 Cent, because now with Ti, he did his diss track, then his son did a diss track, then the other son did a diss track. Um, Domani came out with a diss track, and his other son, his name is Buddy Messiah, his oldest son Messiah, and they all came out with their diss tracks, and so with 50 Cent, I don't know if he's gonna respond, but I'm wondering if I have a feeling that someone may come out and defend 50 Cent. It's either gonna be Dr. Dre, it's gonna be Eminem, It's gonna be Young Buck. Who's the other guy? Lloyd Banks, Tony Yayo, and who is that? The Game, but Game and 50 Cent. I think they're not really on good terms, but it's gonna be. I think what's gonna happen is it's gonna be interesting to see if someone comes out to lyrically defend 50 Cent, like come with their own diss track. And I'm wondering if it's gonna be somebody from New York. But it's gonna be interesting to see if Eminem comes out and says something. I think Eminem is more of a contender. Well, Eminem, who is that guy? Ludacris. Ludacris is more of a comical type rapper. But I'm trying to see who is a contender for T.I. I just think he's in a league of his own. I would say Lil Wayne, but I think they're too separate. They can't be in the same category. I think T.I. and Jay-Z, they're more so in the same category. Yeah, they're more in the same category because they have this laid back, lyrical type of swag to them. Both of them, Jay-Z and T.I. T.I. laid back, Jay-Z laid back. Both of them are about culture. Um, both of them are very lyrical. Um, and they're both highly respected. So I think the only two is T.I. and Jay Z. That's really the only person that's in the same league as T.I. I just don't think that 50 Cent and T.I. are within the same category of each other. But yeah, so that's all I wanted to say on that. This is going to be interesting to see how everything unfolds. I really hope that 50 Cent does not take this even personal and try to do something with one of his sons or do something towards one of his sons. But I actually don't think this is gonna end. It could go either two ways. Either it may not end well, and 50 may really get in his feelings and get really personal and try to and retaliate against one of his sons and really hit him there, really hit Ti there. Cause 50, he seemed like the type he just doesn't like disrespect. But to an extent, you can't go around disrespecting people and not it come back to you. Um, so that's something that he'll have to learn. You can't keep bullying people and not expect it to come to you because it'll come back to you in ways you never thought it would. Um, so yeah, so either that's going to happen or either someone else is going to fend for 50 Cent lyrically. Someone else, some other rapper's going to come out and try and diss T.I. So I think those are the two things that may take place, or 50 may just not never respond. Um, so yeah. But in closing, what I do respect in like the fact that Ti, he has his family or whatever, his wife, and then he has all his sons that came out and defended, their father, and they all came together and defended their mother, and just seeing that family dynamic the way that it is, and you know, it's just it shed light on also shed light on the family dynamic. It shed light on the family dynamic and two group of men within the African American community. Here you have Ti who has morals, values, and a family. A woman that he respects, children. He's involved in their lives, and then you have a 50 Cent type of dynamic in our community where they're disrespecting the women, they're not married, they don't have a relationship with their children or have a wife. And so I think this shed light on what's to come just when it comes to the black family. Because like I said, you have two types of guys within the African American community. You have the dynamic of that of 50 Cent, like I say, no wife, really no family, no relationship with the kids, disrespectful to the women. I mean, that's just what it is. Facts are the facts. And then here it is, you have T.I., who is very family oriented, very community oriented. He's about the culture. He has morals and values. He has a relationship with his kids, a relationship with his mother. And that's what it's all about. God, family, community. And so this, if you look deeper, this is shed light on two dynamics within the black community. And which one would you prefer? I'm gonna opt for the Ti in the family, because I think that that's important. That type of structure and dynamic is important for our community, and we just can't keep having this dynamic where the women within the community are consistently being disrespected. The children are being disrespected. There's no relationship with the children, because it's causing a lot of self destruction within our community, and that's just not needed anymore. So yeah, so that's my take on this, and I'm sorry to be so long winded, but I just came on here to just provide y'all with this little cultural commentary on both the Ti and 50 Cent situation. Um, yeah, but all we can do is see how this unfolds. Hopefully, there won't be no violence. Oh, and what I was gonna say finally is that I think within this country we know how the system works, and hopefully within our system, this is not an opportunity. What they have to be careful for is that this is not used as an opportunity for one of them to be taken out. That's what I'm concerned of too. Um, because obviously now there's beef now with the both of them, and it could be used as an opportunity for one of them to be taken out. You know, um, and I'm sure there are people behind the scenes that are talking to them about this, talking to 50 Cent and Ti about this. That they have to be very careful, because one crew could be blamed for the unaliving of another crew, and that might not be true. It might be someone else from the higher ups that you know end up taking could take someone out. So they have to be Ti and 50 Cent have to be very careful for that. Another thing, I know I was gonna get off here, but I thought when it came to 50 Cent and Ti, I actually thought that they had like a friendly little battle going on, like throughout the years. I didn't know that there was any I just thought that there wasn't really no real hate or animosity between them two. I thought it was just like a friendly type of competition that they had going on throughout the years. So when I seen this take place, I was like, oh shoot. I thought I thought throughout the time they had like a you can kind of tell when someone has a mutual respect for someone else, but they kind of play around and jive around, and there's like a little friendly competition going on. I thought that's throughout the years that's what was going on between Ti and 50 Cent, but I guess not. Stuff just got real. So yeah, that's what Ti and 50 Cent should look out for, is the fact that this could get this could get real bad if they don't turn it back into a friendly competition. But now he's disrespected, the mother of the family, and you have King that's come out, and he went fire for fire, and it may not. I mean, I just think that there's a chance for them to turn all of this around and turn it back into a friendly competition, not one filled with like hate and anger and personal below the belt attacks against one another. Because like I said, this system that we're under here within America, they could use it as a way to take one of them out. So like I said, most likely somebody may be talking to them behind the scenes, to tell them to you know come together or whatever. But yeah, man, Ti though, Ti just if 50 Cent said he wasn't interested, then he just wasn't interested. No need to take it any further in that. But yeah, so that's my commentary on that. This is God Family Community. I will see y'all on the next one.